Good morning, everybody. Or good moment, because I know we have people from all over the world. I want to welcome you to the Global Healing Miracle Call. And every Sunday, we come together to be able to discuss the principles and teachings of this incredible book, which is Ancient Secrets of a Master Healer, a Western Skeptic, an Eastern Master, and Life's Greatest Secrets. And I love those life secrets. They're intertwined all throughout the book. It's amazing. And if you haven't read it recently, I highly recommend that you go back and reread it again. There are so many golden nuggets that it's like I pick up the book and I read it and I get the inspiration that I need in that moment. I truly recommend it. Carol, I'm going to turn it over to you to do the announcement. Wonderful. And then also Mindy.
Ohio gozaimasu. Buenos dias. Welcome. So to people from all over the world, I'm so happy to see you here today. And if you would in the chat, take a minute to, if you're new, this is your first time, we'd love to have a special welcome for you. So if you could put in the chat, I'm new today, I'm from whatever, and even how did you hear about this? We'd love to know those things. So today is a special day. Actually, it was yesterday. Somewhere in the world, it's still the 4th, I'm sure, but May the 4th is Dr. Naram's birthday, and he is the inspiration for the book Ancient Secrets of a Master Healer by Dr. Clint G. Rogers. And it's the reason for our community was to rally around this book and to make it available to people all over the world in as many languages as we can. And we are well on that mission. I believe the count now is about 30 or plus or minus a few different languages that it's been translated into. And that's so very exciting. And also a year ago today, we released the Ancient Secrets Cookbook. I see Millie Rogers in the house and her delightful moonbeam. We have a lot of names for that soup, and those recipes are in here along with a dosha quiz, so you can eat for your dosha. A dosha is a constitution that we have based on our health and what things we need to look at in order to find our most the healing that's within us and get that out into the world. And also, we've just released Ancient Secrets for Pets, collaboration from people all over this community, all over the world. Lovely, beautiful stories of Dr. Naram and kangaroos, and Dr. Naram and tigers, lions. It's just so precious. And we have stories from Dr. Giovanni Krishna Naram, Deepika in Australia. It's just delightful, and another dozen or so stories from people in this community. So I hope you give it a listen. And Mindy was very instrumental in helping with the chapter on how to deal with pets during emergencies and evacuation of that. So lots of book opportunities, and we also have a book for kids that's out there. So I wanted to take just a minute in honor of Dr. Pankaj Naram and share with you what I call the Pankaj Mudra. It's also called the Lotus
Hey,
Mudra.
Carol, before you do that, could we have Mindy? She's on a tight schedule. Could we have her share about Ashland?
Sure.
Wonderful. Thank you. And then we'll come back to that. I'm so excited to hear. Mindy.
Hi, everyone. I needed to get off mute. It's a classic Zoom problem. Thanks for letting me interrupt. Carol, I'm at another event that is happening in our community through our community members. And, I went to Sedona last year to the Unstoppable Love event and felt awkward. I felt like, do I belong here? Is this right for me? Are these people my tribe? And I got there and I'd only met a few people before going, even and only on Zoom. And once I was there, I was just totally, completely, utterly embraced and returned. I made so many friendships, so many people on this call right now I know in a bigger way. I love in a deeper way. And so many of us in our lives in general, but also since COVID, retreated and lost some sense of present community. And I just want to, if you've been waiting for a personal invitation, here it is. Please come join us. If you feel even mildly called to come to Ashland this year, but you have a list of stories in your head about why it might not be the right thing for you, if you are feeling called, act on that. It's so beautiful, as amazing as these calls are. And we all feel it. We all feel deeply connected to each other, even on Zoom. It's 100 times that in person. To feel loved, to feel accepted, all the things we feel on these calls in person is so heightenedly amplified. I'm literally sitting in Asheville, North Carolina today with Hope and Gary, who are members of our community. And ironically, in the Ashland feel, because we're going to this very bohemian area, I too today find myself sitting next to a teepee. Go figure. Didn't see that coming.
Mindy,
But
thank you
here
so
I am,
much.
right? Like miracles happen. We'd love to have you. We'd love to have you. I have a big old hug for you, whoever you are. Come step into this community even more deeply.
Wonderful.
You're invited.
Mindy, thank you. I'm going to go ahead and put the link in the chat. It'll take me a minute, but thank you so much and enjoy your event where you are.
I have
And-
it. I have it, Jana. No worries. I'll drop it.
Oh, perfect. Perfect. Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
Carol, I'm going to turn this back over to you. You're muted. You're muted. Carol, I'm so sorry. You're muted. Can you unmute, Carol?
Finally.
There you go. Thank you.
I just love technology. So yes, in July, we're starting a new event called Art Time, and it's a donation-based event with a minimum request of $5, and hopefully people will be able to do more. And it's an hour of joining together to do fantastic art projects. And we've discovered over the last 4 years or more that we have some incredible artists in our community. And this is an opportunity for them to share with their skills and their expertise. So we're pretty excited about that, and hope that you'll find that something that you'll want to join in. More information will be coming in the newsletter, which is always a good place to find information about our events. And right now, the ongoing events are in Europe with Dr. Clint, Dr. Giovanni, Ilaria, and others are doing pulse clinics in Europe. And most of those have already been filled. So those are happening now. So with the announcements, I think, did I miss any announcements, Jana?
Let me see. I think there was one more. Oh, the Golden Angels.
Oh, the Golden Angels. Yes, we have a delightful group of, we'll call them wise women, mature wise women that have been asked to hold space, prayer, petition for people in our community, in the world, not only for health and healing, but also for projects that might be underway that want extra energy attached to those. So if you have something that you would like to request a prayer for your for healing for a project, you can put a note in this, and just with a first name and a location is all we need, and we'll add that to our list and make sure that that gets a little attention from around 20-25 people a week that are spending time in meditation and prayerful support for these projects and these healings.
Oh, Carol, thank you so much. That reminds me, you know, part of the one of the biggest principles in this book is, what do you want? And so if you'll press your finger and identify what it is that you want, if you want support with people in the community and the Golden Angels to be able to give you energy towards that coming forward and being rebirthed, go ahead and put it in the chat. You can do it privately to me if you don't want it to be seen, or if you want it to be seen. I hope that you guys want to have it be seen to the whole entire world. Put it in the chat and we'll put it on the list. So thank you. So Carol, can you talk about Dr. Naram and his birthday?
Oh, yes. May the 4th, Dr. Naram's birthday, celebrated worldwide with all of the millions of people whose life he touched. He was considered probably the foremost pulse reader in the world, which was one of his greatest ambitions. And he had people like Nelson Mandela and Mother Teresa, so many celebrities, millionaires, billionaires, Bollywood stars, Hollywood stars that came to him. And so we're so grateful that we have so many of his lessons, so many of his teachings, many, many, many of his recipes and remedies that we've captured in all these different books. So we want to celebrate his birthday with a day late, a belated, but I was going to share with you I call it the Pankaj Mudra, which is the lotus. Pankaj means lotus. And just like the lotus, we have our roots that go down into the earth, into the mud. And what we just take a minute and take anything that's disrupting your energy flow, and we're going to send that down those roots to the mud where it becomes nourishment for other things, and just kind of empty out anything that's blocking in your heart, in your life, anything you're like beating yourself up for. I'm really good at that one. Anyone that has disrupted your peace, just put all that stuff in there and then envision that going down these roots into the mud to become nourishment for the earth. And then we're going to take lots of love. Think about your love for Mother Earth, your love for trees, flowers, plants, your love of your beloved, your love of your family, your friends, your pets. Put all of that in this beautiful lotus flower. And then we're going to put that into our heart so that we're radiating love. And we're sending that love out to the world, in every home, in every country, and in hopes that they too will discover Dr. Pankaj Naram and the beautiful ancient secrets that he's put out there to the world. Jana?
That is so beautiful. You know, before we started the call, I had asked Carol her intention. Carol, do you remember what you said?
I think I said something about holding the space for light and love and compassion. And we have so much of that in our community that we really want that to be the focus. And we want the focus to be on the ancient secrets. And it's so easy to get distracted with other things. But our focus today is on love, light, compassion, and healing.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We have a very full call today, and I'm so excited that Geeta is going to be on the call today, and our other guests as well. But Geeta is, to me, she is embodied light. She has a divine mission that touches many, many people in this world. I met Geeta on the trip with Roma Rishi and Tara. She had been connected to Roma Rishi and Tara for several years through Facebook, and she's been a supporter of them, and we're so grateful for her. When I met her, she lit up the room. Her smile is just totally infectious. She has such a curiosity for life, and she embraces every moment. Every opportunity that was around us in the moment, she would say yes to. I watched her heart her generous soul as she gave to the needy and the animals, and her love for the land and for the divine. It just radiates. I fell in love with Geeta. She's such a good friend, good heart, good good, just amazing lady. And she's got, like I said, she has touched many people in her past, her present, and I believe in the future. I'm just so honored that she was able to come on and be able to share her healing story, and also a little bit about her and her and what she kind of does, what she does for the world. Geeta, I know that you do meditation. I was wondering if you might feel comfortable just kind of helping us drop into our head, from our head to our hearts for just a moment, and then go ahead and begin, if that's okay.
Sure, Jaina. Thank you. And it's so kind of you for that beautiful intro. You're such a beautiful soul. And this is my third time here. And I love all the souls that join in. So much love, so much energy, so much beauty here. So I'm so honored to be here. And that too, just after, Dr. Naram's birthday. I feel it's a blessing from him for me to be here and hear about lovely messages from Dr. Naram and about himself. Makes me curious to learn more about Dr. Naram. So, yep, namaste to all of you. I bow to the divine in each and every one of you. You can just, let's close our eyes and imagine. Visualization is so powerful. Imagine a beautiful golden light descending from the spiritual realm, showering on your head through your crown chakra. And the beautiful golden rays are being absorbed by your face, your neck, your shoulders, your hands, your upper body, lower body. These beautiful golden rays of God the shower is so powerful in cleaning out all the negative energies and absorbing all the love, all the light, all the beauty of God. Each cell in our body has been cleansed with the golden light of God and has been rejuvenated with love, with joy, and with beautiful bliss energy. And let's pay our gratitude for every little thing that the universe has given us, from past, present, future, all lifetimes. Let's be grateful, immensely grateful to the divine for giving us our breath to breathe, body, senses, mind, intellect, and all the things this Mother Earth holds for us, and all the 5 elements: earth, water, wind, fire, air. Let's be immensely grateful to all of them who are assisting us. Without them, without this nature, we are not here. Thank you, God, for immensely blessing us with all the things that you provide. You provided in the past, you provide us in the present and in the future. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
So beautiful. Thank you, Geeta.
This is a part of the meditation which I do regularly, which makes me feel so loving and instantly get all those energies of, positive energies. Mm.
It's beautiful. Would you like to share a little bit about you before you begin, or would you like to begin? I'm going to let you start wherever you feel comfortable.
Sure, yeah. Basically, I started, professionally, I started as an IT programmer, and then I had my own business, and then we founded our own nonprofit organizations. When I got initiated by my guru, I felt that whatever happiness I am enjoying, we can share it with others, with the people who are suffering. So it was more of a devotional path, Bhakti Marg we call in India. So devotional path, love for God. And then we started sharing that, but then that was not enough for me. We have so many challenges in our life, emotional, physical, emotional, mental, they manifest into physical, but we don't know ourselves. So, I still work professionally. I'm in a human resources, but my soul kind of craves to give back to the community, like whatever I enjoy, uh, which is, uh, which is, which I feel it's easy to, it's an easy thing for everybody, but to get there, people don't know the path. So there are so many multiple paths. So this path which I'm is like a mixture of combination of so many things I put together, and I found for myself and realized, at the end, every soul needs to realize themselves. A guru can guide, but at the end, we need to put that into practice and realize. So I started sharing this. It's called Diya Meditation, which I put together. So that's where I am. I want to offer that more to the world so that everybody who's suffering can transmute their suffering to joys very easily. So when they understand themselves. But then today, actually, I want to share about a physical ailment I had, which I overcame that with the, we can call ancient healing, or we can call it, by nature, whatever nature provides. So I shared this with Dr. Klint because Dr. Klint has written this book of, ancient healing. And I thought this would be helpful for people. It's about curing hypothyroidism. So I'll start with hypothyroidism, curing how I cured myself with hypothyroidism. And then I'll also talk a little bit about my mental and emotional, how I overcame all those dependencies which I had earlier. So, hypothyroidism, I think you all might be knowing. Most of us know what is hypothyroidism because it's 4.6% of people in USA have hypothyroidism, which means almost uh, out of 100, 5 people have hypothyroidism. So this hypothyroid, I mean, for those who don't know, it's a condition in which thyroid gland, which is right here in the front of your neck, it doesn't make enough thyroid hormone. So there is hyperthyroidism also, which makes more than enough. So I had hypothyroidism, which is like my thyroid gland was not making enough hormone. So that is due to various reasons, stress, lack of vitamin D. So mostly it is a mineral called serenine. So I'll little bit take over, what it is. Like, usually when thyroid makes hormone, thyroid produces hormone, it is used by each cell in our body. So, and this is for metabolism also. So it controls everything. It controls everything in your body. So when I was 35 years old, I found out that I had hypothyroidism, and physically healing my hypothyroidism is like, what I achieved. And I used to, so when I found that I had hypothyroidism, my doctor gave me, I started off with 50 mcg of levothyroxine, the drug called levothyroxine. Most of us are familiar with that who have the hypothyroidism. And it went to as high as 275 mcg. So one day, an incident with my husband, we were talking about pills, and I am against pills. So we were talking about pills, and then that triggered me that I should give up this pill, which I'm very dependent on. So because when I take the levothyroxine, I used to have mood swings, anxiety. And if I don't take, I used to go, my energy levels were so less, and I used to be, depressed. So I didn't like it, whether you take it or you don't take it, there are side effects. And if you don't take it, there are more side effects. And I said to myself, like, I believed that nature, if you have a problem, nature has a solution. God has a solution for everything on this earth.
I love that. That's so great because it's so true. Thank you so much. Go ahead, Geeta. I didn't mean
Yes,
to
yes, it is. I mean, whether it's mental, emotional, or physical, also, you can see there are so many herbs. There are so many varieties of herbs, and they might have some specific thing, specific solution for every problem. So I believed that. And then I said, I'm going to do some research and I'm going to quit this pill. And I did research on Google, just Google. And then I had to research for 5-6 days to make sure I'm doing the right thing. And there were so many people who shared about, not so many, because it was, I think, in 2016 or 17. I had to drill down to find out. There were, like, maybe I found about 5 to 6 people. Everybody had a different solution, some meditation, some yoga. But some common thing I found in all these 5 individuals was Brazil nut, which I was not familiar with. I didn't know Brazil nut at all. I knew cashew nuts, peanuts, all other nuts, but Brazil nut was very new to me. I didn't know what that was. And that was a common thing. And some people took coconut oil, some people yoga, meditation, like I said. So I thought, like, why not combination of all these things? And instantly I was so determined. I was like, I surrender to God, let God, God created me. I mean, people, I don't know if we can do that, but it's a risk I took. I said, like, I surrendered to God, if God created me, he's going to protect me. And this is a solution I found, and I'm going to implement that. So I bought Brazil nuts. I found them in America. Yes, they are there. So I was new to them. So the lady who wrote a big article, she suggested 3 Brazil nuts to take 3 Brazil nuts. So I quit my levothyroxine, started taking Brazil nuts and 1 tablespoon of coconut oil. And I thought, I'll do yoga. I'll regularize. I'll not skip any time yoga or meditation. So I started doing my yoga, about 15-20 minutes of yoga, and then about 15-20 minutes of meditation. So at the time, it was a different meditation. So I was still trying meditation, different types of meditations. And one day, I think people, maybe I caught cold or somebody had cold, and 24 hours that day, I couldn't talk. I thought I'll lose my voice, but still I didn't go back. I thought, no, I'm going to continue taking Brazil nuts. But it was just 24 hours and voice came back next day. And I was all right. And after 6 months, I got myself tested. Recently, 1 year back, I got myself tested. And the TSH levels are normal. I'm cured completely. And from 2017, I didn't take Brazil nuts. So that's 7. I didn't take levothyroxine, and I was taking Brazil nuts. And now, from past 2 years, I don't even take Brazil nuts. My TSH levels are normal. So
that is so amazing. What I love about this story, not only did you use something that was natural, Brazil nuts, to be able to heal your, to be able to manage and work with your, give your body the support that it needed. But I also love that you followed your intuition. You knew what your body needed, and you trusted and you surrendered to God, and you brought that into, the mix. So you became your own doctor in essence. It's beautiful. I love that.
Yes. And now, actually, I just, for people to understand, thyroid function actually depends on a mineral called selenium. And it catalyzes the conversion of thyroxine, T4. It's called, to the active form of thyroid hormone that is released, which is T3. It's also called, it's, I don't know if I can pronounce it. It's triiodothyronin. I think. So it's T3. So so this T3 is the hormone that is released, and hazelnut has this mineral called selenium. So that's so I was taking selenium, and the selenium was converting my T4 to T3 and releasing that hormone. That's what happened. So that's what the Brazil nut had. And I told so many doctors Brazil nut healed me, and they didn't believe. And today, when I'm searching, I searched before I came here. I was searching about Brazil nut if there are any more new articles, because it's been 7 years. So the National Center for Biotechnology Information, NCBI, has published several articles on properties of Brazil nuts. You can see online, Google, there's so many articles on Brazil nuts, which also cure people who have hemodialysis, HD patients, who have reduced T3 levels. So that's because of the mineral called selenium. So just before coming here, I sent to a few of the doctors in my family, please check it out. When I told you, you didn't believe me. How can Brazil nut cure your thyroid? They didn't believe me. But there is, there is information out there why it cured me. So,
Yeah. I want to come back to this book and Master Jivaka, who, Dr. Naram had a master who had a master who had a master, and the lineage goes all the way back up to Dr. Jivaka. And Jivaka was the personal physician for Buddha. And he said that everything is a medicine and everything is a poison. Now, before I met Gita, I've met a couple of other people who have told me the power of Brazil nuts, but they would only take 3 a day, and they were very specific with the dose. You don't take more than 3 a day. So you can imagine if somebody was taking more than 3 a day, it may cause, or for whatever they need to be taken, it may cause an adverse reaction to the situation. Now, I'm not a doctor. We only are here talking about educational purposes. This is for educational purposes and for you to be able to guide your own healing journey. But I loved when you said the 3 Brazil nuts, because I had several people in my life that is the dose that they gave that they needed to take. So yes.
Yes.
Wonderful.
That was about my physical healing, but more than physical, actually I can continue for 5 more minutes, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So more than physical, our mental and emotional well-being is so important, because that manifests into physical ailment, and as I took my meditation classes, yoga classes, I realized that, and I had a lot of emotional dependency. So when people around me, misunderstandings happen. So I used to feel very hurt, sensitive to it. And this would happen, because I already, like by 2017, I had a guru, I had a path. But I used to ask God for liberation, because I used to feel so good when I heard about all these stories, and the practices, made me more curious towards liberation, because who doesn't want a permanent joy in life? You don't want to go up and down. So when I practiced devotion towards God, I would feel joy. And when that's not there, that emptiness would again come in. So I would ask God, like, God, I want permanent liberation, help me. So when I asked that, miraculously, my life would go upside down. We would, everybody feels like, oh, liberation, if you ask God, with certain intention and intensity, you all know, you've been practicing, God answers. So I would wonder what happened, why this havoc in my life, what's happening? And then after a few iterations, I realized I was the one who was asking with so much intensity for liberation. Liberation is not so easy. You have to go through, your ego completely have to fall down, right? You have, your ego has to dissolve. So not knowing that, I would ask, and ego has to dissolve means there should be nothing. You have to reach that nothingness. And then I started, oh, it's me who's asking. So I need to change the perception of mind. And then I went through something called Dark Night of Soul, which most of the spiritual people go before they arrive. And when I did this, like I wanted to share this, I put together a meditation, which I call Diya meditation right now. So I practiced a lot of meditations. Every meditation had something to offer. So, I mean, I start with little yoga exercises, warm-up exercises to release stagnant energies. I started my breath work, different breath works, Kapalbhati, Anulom Vilom, deep breathing. And in deep breathing, I included affirmations and then gratitude, forgiveness, love, and calling divine in the form of light. And I did chakra meditation for about 1 year. And I do a little bit different version of chakra meditation today. So I put together all these things and started meditating. And after meditating for maybe about regularly this meditation for about 6 months to about 9 months, that's when I realized I'm just reacting to my mind, my emotions, or why am I expecting people around me to give me happiness? And when I met, in this process, I met a Zen master in Houston, and she looked at me and she said, if you're going round and round, uh, even if you're close to the goal, but you're going round and round, you still didn't reach your goal. And that's what I was doing. I was going round and round. And she said, happiness is within you. There's no need to search outside. I was like, how is happiness inside me? And that got me very curious. And I started meditating more and more and more when I realized I was just playing to my mind. My emotions are in my mind and I'm playing to the mind. And if I keep my mind aside, then all that remains is self. That's it. It's like that energy is me. Who is stopping me to be happy right now? Nobody. It's just my mind, which has all the past information, and it triggers and it goes into a loop. If I just keep that away when it gets triggered, all that remains is self. And that was such a beautiful knowing for myself. And my students, I teach Bhagavad Gita, which is a holy scripture coming from Hinduism, which is really profound, I really love it. And when my students started asking me so many questions, I said, okay, let me teach them meditation. That's how I started, no intention of teaching. And they benefited from it. They could transmute their sorrows to joy. They still didn't reach to a self level, but I could see them. They are now using the mind. Whenever the mind gets into negativity, they empower the mind to positive thoughts, to loving thoughts, to empathetic thoughts, to kindness, compassion, which is still good. And they catch the trigger when they gets triggered, and then they say no to it, and they transmute.
Yeah.
So this is something which I wanted to share with all of you. Hope this helps everybody.
I loved what you just said, because, even though your students are where they are, they're on their own journey,
Yes.
and just like you, where you were before you actually got the awakeness, the awareness that you were in your own way, that happiness came from within. And even though you had an idea that happiness came from within, there was still, you still had to play with it and find that area of how happiness comes from within. And, in the book, Dr. Clint talks about the power, how Dr. Naram talked about the power of stillness, solitude, and silence. And that's where you found your discovery of where you found that self-realization, that self-happiness, that self-joy. Believe me, people, she radiates joy and love throughout her whole entire being. It was such a beautiful experience to be able to travel with her in India. And, it was wonderful to be with her. She knows the language. She had lived there, until she was 25, I think you said 25. And it was like, I just felt at home with Geeta, and she just has such a loving heart. Geeta, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Jaina, and Dr. Clint, and everybody for letting me share my story. Thank you. it's wonderful to be with all of you.
Thank you. We hope that you're able to join us some more.
Oh,
Can
yes.
can we send Geeta some love? It was so beautiful.
Absolutely.
Let's send her
Thank
some love.
Thank you.
You can remove the spotlight. Thank you.
Sending you all back God's love.
Put it on gallery for a minute. Yeah. Yeah, I think before you go, Geeta, I think Karen had a question.
Sure.
Karen, did you have a question for Geeta? I'm not sure that she's able to unmute, but the question that she put in the chat was she was wondering if you knew your vitamin D levels at the time.
Yes, vitamin D levels was they were less too, and I had to improve vitamin D levels, and that's one of the reason also that affects your thyroid levels. That's a good question.
Awesome.
Yeah, thank
Carol, go ahead. Go ahead, Karen. Oh, somebody was speaking. I thought it was Karen. Anyway,
I think Maggie has something to share. She put in chat. I'd rather she can talk about it if you have time.
great. Maggie and Carol. Carol, while you're unmuted, if you'll just ask your question, and then Maggie, if you'll ask first.
I was just going to mention about oxalates and thyroidism, and I had my own experience of having 7 thyroid nodules in 2020, and I'm down to 2, and one of those is smaller by just giving up oxalates, and I think that's another way that we can, help ourselves too, is being aware and learning about those kinds of things. And I thought if we have time, maybe Dr. Joseph Ingman can speak to that as well, because it affects several things. But just giving up raw greens and eating things that have been sautéed and cooked, like Dr. Naram recommends, made all the difference for me. And so it's wonderful to see that we have these tools that we can apply for ourselves.
Oh,
Yeah, and what Dr. Ingman shared with Carol shared with me, and it supported me too. Almost everything I was eating was oxalates. And when I stopped eating them, a lot of the stiffness and the pain went away in my body. And that doesn't mean that I can't eat oxalates. It means I need to do it in moderation. Just like we said, everything's a medicine, everything's a poison. So if you eat it in excess, then you're going to feel the effects. But if you are if you listen to your body, just like Geeta did, then you're able to follow the direction that your heart is giving to you. Thank you, Carol. Maggie, did you have a question or a comment? Can you unmute?
I did unmute, but I don't think it was me. I didn't think I raised my hand. So
Oh, gotcha.
unless it was somebody else they were talking about, if there's 2 Maggies. Sorry.
No worries. No worries. Thank you so much for coming off mute. Wonderful. Well, I wanted to share a little bit, and I wanted to share when we were in India, Geeta had a dream, or we found the International Yoga Festival was going on at the time that we were in India. And MC Yogi is a spiritual singer, and she loves MC Yogi. And, none of us had really connected with that. And Clint, he just, when he knows that somebody wants something, he puts every effort and energy and support into making that happen. And I don't know how he does it, but he does. That's why I'm saying, I want you to dig into your heart today and really think, what is it that you want? And it could just be, I have this desire to spend time with my grandchildren, and out of the blue, yesterday they called me and I got to spend about 6 hours with them. And it was joy and heaven. It could be something like that in the moment, or it could be something as big as, I want to create a healing center. I want to support somebody in their journey, or I want to be able to share myself with humanity. I want you to dig into your heart today, right now, and put it in the chat. Let us as a community focus on that for all of us so that your dreams can come true. Well, I watched this happen in India, and Dr. Clint is the embodiment of this. He really, he and Poonam were out walking, and they were looking at the International Yoga Festival sign, and there was a picture of MC Yogi, and there was a guy that stood next to them and said, "Oh, are you going to the International Yoga Festival?" And she goes, "Oh, well, we're thinking about it." And he goes, "Well, do you know anything about this guy?" And she turned around, she goes, "Oh my gosh, it's you." And he was right there embodied. And it was just so fun. They had a little chat and exchanged numbers. Oh, there's Geeta. And then later at the Kirtan Festival, a couple of nights later, he came and was entertaining the people at the Kirtan Festival. And Clint once again manifested the group to be able to meet him. And there's Geeta with MC Yogi. And it's so powerful. You know, sometimes we think we have this dream and it's not going to go anywhere. And all the doubts come into our mind and all that negative talk comes into our mind. And just like Geeta was talking about, that we are the ones that are in our own way. And what she did is what we can do, is we can acknowledge what we want, write it down, and then surrender it, you know, because when we press our finger, what do we want? Amazing things happen. And I tell people, this is a very powerful tool, because sometimes when you press this finger and you have in your mind what you want, things will start coming up that are kind of crazy. You know, we have in our community, we call it a DTD Wabawa, and the unexpected guest shows up, and we have to identify the unexpected guest. Could be an emotion. It could be an actual person at your door that you never expected to be there. It could be an opportunity. It could be something that you haven't faced that you need to face. And you don't want to, you know, sometimes they're not very fun. But what I've identified is if we embrace them and say, you are a gift, you are here for a reason, and we're able to transition it. And then when we face it with gratitude, and Geeta was talking about that so profoundly, so grateful for this opportunity, so grateful for it, it just comes about. Now, Geeta, I had invited MC Yogi to come on today, and unfortunately, I don't know whether he's here or not. I don't think he has. But he responded and he asked for the link, and I was so excited. And it would be so wonderful if he would have been here today. But, you know, at the end of the call, we'll go ahead and play some of his music. I have so enjoyed the beautifulness of his music. So, Karen, you've got your hand up. Would you like to share?
Oh, thank you. You asked a question for me, but I couldn't get unmuted. Anyway, Geeta, I just wanted to go, if you remembered anything about the number that you were at, because I have this issue for your vitamin D and what you got it to and how you did it. I mean, I'm taking vitamin D, but I haven't been very successful in getting it up much.
Yes, my number was very low. I think 7. It's way low. So the doctor recommended D3, right? But I was taking it for several months. It didn't do anything. So what I did is, again, little bit research, and my nephew actually told me that you know, just sit in sun. Don't put any oil, like so coconut oil is a blocker, you know, so don't put any sunblocks, and then just sit in the sun for like early morning sun, like about 8 to 10.
Okay.
So where you take the heat, and I would cover my face, but you know, hands and legs exposed to sun for 45 minutes every day. 15 days it was up. Just 15 days.
15 days. Okay.
15 days. So sometimes I skipped. So I sat in sun for 15 days. Sometimes I used to do alternate days. So 15 days was enough. I mean, the sun it's a natural vitamin D, right? So it's, for me, it worked. D3 sun worked better than D3. For others, like you know, it depends upon your body, I think, or, you know, it's a combination which we have, the chemistry in the body, right? So for me, it worked. So if your D3 is not working as much, then I would really suggest you to sit in sun for just 15 days, 45 minutes. So.
Thank you so much.
Wonderful, wonderful. Dr. Inge, Joseph Ingman, happy birthday. Dr. Joseph has the same birthday as Dr. Naram. And so happy birthday to Joseph.
Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
Karen. Thank you so
Happy
much.
birthday. Happy birthday.
Birthday.
Thank you all for the good wishes and blessings, and it's a real treat and honor to share that day with Dr. Naram, as well as probably a few other million people in the world. Just briefly, I followed some chat here on the oxalates, and Dr. Pedrada, Susan put a nice synopsis there, but I just have to say, for me, it's I discovered this through developing a kidney stone, which is made, as she notes, of calcium oxalate. And so it's a real mixed bag, because on one hand, I have all this nutritional information about, a vegetarian plant-based diet is so much healthier and all these things. And so you start doing that, and then you realize through this discovery process that plants are the only thing that contain oxalates. And some of them that you think are so healthy and great are very high in oxalate. And, there's studies that show, well, it really doesn't matter how many oxalates you eat. It has to do with your chemistry. And some people just have high oxalate output and they get stones. The other hand, there's a lot of people that believe, you should limit the oxalate intake. So there is something I got from, it's the University of Virginia nutrition list, and it lists all the fruits and vegetables and things that are very high in oxalate. And then at the end of this, it says, well, since they only come in vegetables, maybe you're better off eating meat. It's just like, well, okay. But the other thing, another tip is if you consume dairy, which also gives you your vitamin D, the dairy in your gut binds to the oxalates and then it's excreted through your bowel rather than going through your kidney. And so that's a benefit. The other thing, what was I going to say about dairy is, vitamin C. I used to take vitamin C regularly every day, but, metabolically, the end product of breakdown, one of the things that happens in your body after vitamin C is it turns into oxalate. So it's very complex and complicated, and, things like turmeric, which, I was pounding on because it's an anti-inflammatory, which makes your joints feel better. But turmeric is very high in oxalate. So, it's really a trade-off, and you have to research, you have to talk to a lot of really smart people, and then you just have to make some choices and decisions about what you believe is healthy for you and what you feel is working with your body. And just, as we used to have a saying in medicine, that if all you have is a hammer, everything is a nail. So you need to have a broader perspective and kind of follow your heart, go inside. This is good, the other, not so good. The moderation concept is always a good practice. And, I'm certainly no expert in this, but I did own a few calcium oxalate stones. So
So you've had the experience of having the stones.
I did have the experience, and it didn't happen until I was like 68 years old. So, over time, your metabolism changes in different ways. And I would have thought, why didn't I get them, way earlier? Well, I didn't. So go figure. Anyway,
Well, it just goes to show you, our bodies are in rhythm with the earth. Somebody was saying the other day, we're always worried about aging, but aging has happened since the day we were born. We've been in the experience of aging, and if you think about it, we go through the different processes. In Ayurvedic medicine, we talk about Vata, Pitta, Kapha, and in reality, we go through those different stages of Vata, Pitta, Kapha in our actual physical life. And so even though we think, oh, I am the same, you know what, things aren't the same, as we transition, so I loved what Gita had said, and what Dr. Eamon has said is pay attention to your inside. Really connect with who you are. Our authority exists inside of ourselves. And that's what I love about this book. One of my very favorite part at the end of the book is where Dr. Clint said, this book is about you. The ancient secrets are to turn yourself back to yourself, not, we don't need to look, we need to gain education and support from the community and from other people's studies to be able to educate ourselves. But in reality, what it comes down to is, what do we need inside of ourselves? What do we need? What works best for us? I've heard a lot of different studies about oxalates and vegetarian against being meat eaters. And I really think that it is your personal preference, your personal choice, and what makes you feel good. And so anyway, I'll go ahead and put, if you are concerned, we do have, you can get a pulse read with Avidia, and they can read your pulse or do a video consultation. A lot of times they can see different things in your face just through the consultation. So Romari Shantara, would love to hear from you.
Okay.
Hi there. By the way, our dog says, Joseph and Susan, our dog says hello to your dog. So, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello.
Susan was
Okay.
waving.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or the dog was
Yeah,
waving
yeah.
to Bodhi.
Anyway, yeah.
We've been enjoying seeing your dog on the screen. When you were talking about kidney stones, it just made me think. I think many of you know that the trip to India that we went on began with getting a phone call at 1 a.m. from this great Himalayan master who's now 135. And he said, please come soon before I take Mahasamadhi, which means dropping his body or dying. And that's what prompted us to go. And as a result, we took Clint and Poonam and Jaina and Gita. And we were feeling, when we got off the phone with him, we were like, oh my God, we have to go. How are we going to do it? And we had to overcome incredible obstacles every day in order to go to India. And we kept thinking we have to go as soon as possible because he might die. If we don't go fast, we might get there and he would have already died. Well, we got there and he wasn't at all sick, not in the slightest. He looked healthier than we had ever seen him. And we were like, oh my God, we've been like worried that he was going to die. And he's in super great health. And we said, what happened? He said, I had kidney stones and I thought I was dying. So
Yeah.
he was totally mistaken. He thought he was dying and he told us to hurry and get there before he dropped the body. So I have never had kidney stones, but I know from having friends who have had them that they are incredibly painful. So anyway, when you were talking about oxalates and kidney stones, it just made me think of how he thought he was dying. So I just want to add very quickly how much we love Gita. We, when we decided that we were going on this trip, the first person we invited was Clint. And the reason was we knew that Dr. Naram had a guru that was 125, and he had a guru that was 145. And we knew Clint would probably be interested in meeting a living master that was 135. And Clint was extremely interested in going. And Poonam, Clint's girlfriend, went with him. And then we said, we have to invite Jaina, because Jaina has been so encouraging to Tara and me about writing our book. She's been incredibly, she's been a big supporter of encouraging us to write the book. And then the fourth person that we thought of was Gita, because we just adore Gita. And it was fantastic having her along on the trip. So much so that I said at the end of the trip, Gita, I'm an only child. I never had a sister. Would you be my sister? And she said yes. And I feel blessed
Yeah.
to have Gita as my spiritual sister.
Yeah, we definitely love her, and yeah, it's contagious.
Yeah.
Being with her, falling in love.
Yeah. And just to wrap this up, when we were in India, it seems like every time we go to India, the end of the trip, we become very sick. And our previous last trip to India was in November of 2019, just before the pandemic. And we were bedridden for 2 weeks, and I had to go to the hospital. So at the end of that trip in 2019, we vowed, okay, that's it. We're never going back to India again. So for the last 4 years, we didn't go. And then at the end of this trip, we also became so sick that we had to recuperate for weeks. And I also went to the hospital in Rishikesh. And so at the end of this last trip, even though it was such a wonderful trip, we vowed again, okay, that's it. We're never going back to India. But the flights back from India were so excruciating, riding in coach, that I said, Tara, the only way I will ever go back to India is if someone pays for us to fly first class, which is, of course, extremely expensive. And this made me feel bad, because I was basically saying, that's it for India. We're not going back. In my heart, I felt sad about that, because I knew there are a lot of reasons why we should go back to India. There are a lot of people who want us to take them to India and show them what we showed Clint, Poonam, Jaina, and Gita. So I felt sad. Oh, gee, I'm kind of saying I'm not going to go do those things and help those people the way they want me to. And so the whole purpose of what I'm telling you right now is, when you know what you want, it can happen extremely fast. So one day I said, okay, I'll only go back if someone pays for us to go, not coach. And the very next day, a man from India called us on the phone. He's a very wealthy man. He lives in a mansion in Delhi. And he had been asking us to come stay with him on this last trip. And we didn't do it because we got sick. But he called and he said, why didn't you come visit me like I begged you to? I said, oh, we got sick and there just was no way we could do it. And he said, when are you coming to India next? Next time you come, I want you to stay at my home. And I said, well, I'm sorry to tell you, I don't think we're ever going back to India. And he said, why? I said, we can't ride coach. It's just too painful. I'm very tall and it's so crowded, and it's just like torture to ride coach. 4 airplane trips, 4 in a row. And he said, "Oh, that's no problem. My sister is a manager at Air India and she can upgrade you. Just get a ticket in coach and my sister will upgrade you." And yeah, and this was the day after, the very day after I said, "I'll never go back to India unless we cannot go coach." And then he said, "And come stay in my home and you'll be family and we'll make sure your entire trip is comfortable." So
He's
it was
sweet.
it
Yeah,
was
so sweet.
just verification that if you know what you want, the universe can grant it very fast.
Yes,
What
and
do you
Bodhi
want?
is saying, and so it is.
Thank you.
Bodhi is saying, and
Yeah.
so it is.
I know.
I love it. Oh, I'm
So
so
now, yeah, so now
Okay,
we don't have to think we're never going back to India. Now we know we can go and be comfortable and it'll all be taken care of. When I told him we aren't going back because we just can't ride coach and we can't be uncomfortable, he said, "There are many people in India who are extremely wealthy and will sponsor you and take care of you and make sure everything you need is provided." Oh my God. Thank you.
it's awesome. And
Over and out.
Susan's clapping, everybody's saying in the chat, good, I love it. So great. And it is because what you guys have is so valuable. We're so excited to be able to
My
see the book come out. I know that it's not going to be ready for Ashlyn, but when the book is ready, I am just so excited because I have had this desire to learn more about the masters, and you guys have met them and you have studied them, the ones that are not on this earth any longer, and you guys have interacted with them. And it was so wonderful to be able to go to this man who was 135 years old. It was, he was a doctor had gone to Oxford, graduated from Oxford, was a doctor, had a practice in
London.
England, in London. Yes, thank you.
London.
And then his heart desire turned him to want to know more of the spiritual ways, and to see in his home have a picture of Roma Rishi and Tara hanging on the wall with the rest of their family. It was breathtaking. It was just Roma Rishi and Tara touch many people in their heart very deeply, and they're loved so much. So I know that you said that you don't have family, and I know Geeta is your sister, but I believe you've got family all over the world. You're
Yes, definitely. The entire human race is our family. Yeah.
What a great place to be.
And the animals.
And all the animals. Yes.
Well, Geeta has got to go to her. She has a radio show on Sunday morning, and I did post in the chat her Facebook pages if you want to. She does some beautiful chanting, and her students do some beautiful chanting. But we're going to transition to Susie. Susie has had such incredible healing journey. It hasn't just been 1 year, it's been multiple years, and I'm so grateful that I know it's kind of painful. A lot of times, a lot of people want to have instantaneous healing. I think that that's what our society is all about. But sometimes it doesn't take instantaneous. Sometimes it's a journey, and even in my own healing journey, for a minute last summer, I thought, these ancient secrets aren't working. And then I got my blood work done. And I was like, oh, the ancient secrets are working. I just can't see it. So we just don't know until we can get those markers. And so I'm continuing on my healing journey as well. So Susie, do you have a minute to be able to share with us you? And
Sure, I do.
Welcome.
Hello. How's everybody doing?
We're doing pretty good. Want to tell us a little bit about you and your situation? Go ahead.
Okay, well, first of all, I'm Susie Holshoe and 58 years old. And I'm going to zip through this. I spent pretty much my entire life being incredibly healthy and very fit. Lots of exercise. starting when I was 5, swimming, gymnastics, tumbling, ballet, running, tennis, aerobics, and I got mono when I was 17. Almost died when I was 25 from a reaction to a medication, which set in motion something very silent and quiet that I did not know about until 2010. Which was, I woke up one day and ended up having to have emergency surgery to remove a 2.5-pound cancerous tumor, which had eaten up my kidney and my left kidney and my left adrenal gland. Instead of spending 2.5 weeks in the hospital, I was there for 5 days because of a lifestyle that I had cultivated of being very healthy. I didn't have to do radiation or chemotherapy because the tumor was self-contained. And but unbeknownst to me, when I had to go in to do the radioactive glucose so that they could take a picture of my insides every 6 months to make sure I didn't get the cancer back, that had a profoundly stressful impact on my physical body, so that by 2013, I was starting to crash and burn, didn't know why. I would go to the doctor, test results would come back, there's nothing really wrong with you. Anyway, so I went from teaching 13 classes of yoga a week. By 2014, I was down to 1. By 2015, I was done. And for 3 years, I didn't have a life. I have hardly any memory. I spent thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars trying to figure out what was wrong with me. Nobody could tell what was wrong with me.
Yeah.
And I read a book, Medical Medium, in 2016, and read the story of my life, and took the book to my I was going to a functional doctor at the time, and I said, how is it that not one doctor since I was 17, because everybody knew I had mono, why wasn't anybody telling me that I had Epstein-Barr virus and that mono is stage 2? And I was in a full-blown case of stage 4. And he just looked at me, goes, well, Western medicine doesn't really have anything to do. They don't really know how to work with Epstein-Barr. They can, in the Midwest, I live in Indiana, the Midwest, the tests that they have can only show if you've had a previous outbreak, not if you are currently in one. Wow. And I said, well, I'm currently in one. I have no life, can barely do anything. People only saw me when I was having good days. They didn't see my recovery. I couldn't walk upstairs. I had 14 steps, 17 steps. I would crawl up the last 4, sob my eyes out, and crawl to the sofa, and it would take me days to recover because the Epstein-Barr had affected my thyroid. It was affecting my liver. Possibly could have had something to do with the tumor growing on my kidney, not quite sure. Anyway, so fast forward to the fall of 2019. I made a journey to Belgium to work on my brain. Went to Japan to see my spiritual teacher. And then when I arrived in India to do treatment there, because this is really important, I did not know Dr. Naram had a physical clinic in India, or I would have gone to his clinic. I thought he was a traveling doctor that only worked on digestive issues. That's all I had in my brain. Did not know anything else. So I went to another Ayurvedic clinic in southern India, stayed there for 6 weeks, arrived there in a wheelchair, could not walk, because the pain in my hands and my feet, it was like shards of glass going through my nerve endings. I had no strength and I had like bone fatigue, had no strength in my body. There were 174 steps from the top of the cliff to get down to the beach. I did it the first day I was there, thinking in my mind that I could do it. I barely made it back alive. Didn't think I was going to make it, and could not do that trip for my entire time that I was there. I could not walk down the stairs. The doctors wouldn't let me. And so doing the Ayurveda treatments there, which was Panchakarma, I went there for, longevity treatment, possible weight loss. And when I arrived, they completely switched all my treatments to remove the pain and inflammation from my body, which did include weight loss. And when I came home, obviously we had the pandemic. And that's when I was introduced to Dr. Naram, or Dr. Clint, and the book was getting ready to be published in over the calls. I think it started in January. The book came out in May?
June.
Anyway, June.
June 1st.
All right. Well, I was very skeptical, people, very skeptical. Let me tell you, because I literally had spent almost all of my life savings on trying to find something to help me, and nothing was working. Nothing was working. And and cooking, I did not like to cook for myself. It was very hard because I was completely isolated the very first 8 months of the pandemic. I was all by myself. And so it was very painful. And I was in a lot of physical, emotional, and mental pain. The trip to India definitely had helped me, but was not the end result. So when I read the book, started doing the remedies, I did move and spent time in a communal setting where we did do all the Ayurvedic practices, especially with the food and some of the herbs and some of the home remedies, and being on the land and was really, really, really helpful for me. And when I came back to the area, I finally got to meet Dr. Hemang. He physically came to the US, and I went to see him. And he recommended doing the forgiveness point, which is right here, the Marma point here. And I told him, I said, Dr. Hemang, I've been doing this point for over a year now. Nothing. And he goes, you have a double binding block that happened at a very young age. And he goes, you just need to continue doing it. And when it's ready to release, it will release. So I'm doing the food. I'm doing the herbs when I could afford it. I was doing the home remedy. I was doing the Marma points, doing the unstoppable meditation in the morning. And then, so that was December of 2021. Early August, September, I had a breakthrough that occurred. So if I may, I'd like to share this. So when I was 5 years old, my mom and I were in a horrific car accident, and she plummeted into deep clinical depression, which I didn't know what that was. I just knew mom was not okay. And she got bronchitis, asthma from the accident. And I just knew at 5 years old that I had to save my mommy to save myself. And so I took on the savior role. And, I've played the victim role, I've played the perpetrator role, I've played the appeaser role, but I really didn't understand what playing the savior role had done to me. harmfully. And in the fall of 2021, no, 22, sorry, so sorry, 2022, because I saw Dr. Hamong in December of 2021. I walked away from another friendship because I could no longer play any of the roles that I had grew up in. I gave up the savior role for good.
What you're talking about is so important right here. I just wanted to throw in there because sometimes, you know, we lose our focus, but I wanted to bring in what Susie is saying right here is very important because she's been doing the physical and now she's connecting to the emotional and the spiritual. So go ahead, Susie.
Oh, thank you. And when I walked away from that relationship, within days, the pain was completely gone, like gone, and it has not come back. It has not come back. Now, I've not done the diet as best I could. I've not done the Mama Points as I should. Well, I'm going to use the word should. Not done the home remedies like I was doing before, and the pain still has not come back.
So amazing. Let's go ahead and rub our hands together and just give her a blast of love.
So that's really, really crucial. And I was unaware of the attachment that I had to saving, being a victim, being an appeaser, and perpetrating on myself.
Yes. Yes.
Betraying myself.
In the
being
book,
unforgiving for myself.
Yes. In the book, he says, Dr. Naram says that 90% of disease is from unresolved emotion and childhood trauma. And the story that Susie just gave is exactly that. You know, she was doing all the things. You know, she did the diet and the panchakarma. She had been exercising for years until she wasn't able to anymore. But when it came down to it, her journey for healing was the forgive and forget, the emotion. And then she showed her dedication by being able to release those relationships that were not serving her anymore. She had transitioned to a place where she needed to find a different way of life. And I'll tell you, it was not easy for Susie. Sometimes she felt very alone. But now she's in a position right now where she has wonderful people around her. She loves her job. You know, it's so fun. She texts me or calls me in the morning and says, I'm just so happy. I just want to tell you that I'm so happy. So I love those phone calls. It's been so wonderful. So Susie, thank you so much. Oh my gosh.
So I do have a dream and a wish. I'd like to put this out there.
Yes, please.
Because I'm on the 5-year plan. So I've had Epstein-Barr because it's a childhood disease. Most people get stage 1 as a child, and then it'll show up in your life as stage 2, and then eventually 3 and 4. And it does follow the disease process, or the illness process follows old age. So it's very important, and mine was pretty extreme with the pain and the chronic fatigue. So a lot of Epstein-Barr virus symptoms are individually diagnosed by doctors as fibromyalgia, neuropathy, hyperthyroid, Hashimoto's disease, chronic fatigue. Okay, even Lyme disease. Certain cancers can be created by long-term Epstein-Barr virus. There's 60 variations out there. So I was really appreciative to hear Gita talk about the Brazilian nuts, because as a child, I craved them. If you gave me a bowl of mixed nuts, those were the only ones I would eat. Who knew, right? You know, I'm like, so, you know, probably overate them because, as you know, that was just part of my personality, you know, max out everything at all times. But I wish I could have said thank you to Gita about that, because I just didn't know that. That's a little tool that I'm going to put in my back pocket and start doing, because they're my favorite nuts. So exciting. I was going to say one last thing. Oh, my thing that I really
You
want to
said you're
do.
on the 5-year plan.
But I'm on the 5-year plan because I'm 58. I've had it for a really long time. This is not a quick fix because I've had this particular issue for so many years. It's going to take a while for it to reverse itself. And I truly believe that I will be able to reverse this. And one of the last steps that I feel that will greatly benefit, only because of that young lady at 19 who had the rheumatoid arthritis, was able to get her markers removed from her body by going to Dr. Naram's clinic. That is my wish. My heart desire is to go there, to spend as much time as I can, so that I can remove this from my body.
I believe it. I believe that it will happen. Let's go ahead and rub our hands together and send a healing support to her in support of her wish and desire.
Thank you.
Thank you, Susie. So wonderful. Great. If you'll put that in the chat, then we can get it on the list of community support. So Leonore, hello.
Hey, good morning, everybody, or good afternoon, wherever you are. One thing stands out, Susie, what you said in your report, your testimonial. It's in the chat too. I like to ask Susie, where was this communal setting that provided for you a safe haven where you could eat Ayurvedic food and follow that practice? That was before you found Dr. Naram, correct? And
No, it was not.
so
And
because it would help many of us, I think, to look for that. We're all craving for a community sometimes, and to have that supportive environment is just part of the deal.
Well, this is interesting.
If you don't want to speak to it, it's fine. But it really stood out for me because many of us talk about creating
I understand that. I think it would be great, but it's very important to have emotional and mental support when you're doing that kind of living environment where it's safe. And
if I could,
I think it needs to be done with Dr. Clint, and with Ayush Shakti in creating a program in which that is all addressed.
Right.
There's
I just want to follow up. Maybe I misunderstood or misinterpreted. I thought it was a physical community, maybe a household where other people around you supported you and did follow the simpler protocol.
Well, I don't know if you've ever lived in community living.
Oh,
it can be a mix. It can be a mixed bag. So that's why I'm saying that if there's a communal living situation for this community, if there is more guidance and it just can be more supportive in that way, Susie, when it's done with Susie, intention. Yes,
Susie, if I could just, why don't you just reach out to Leonore privately and be able to have a conversation and let her know.
Sure.
Yeah, that would be so perfect. I just want to say, all of us have a desire in our hearts to be able to connect in a specific way. And I truly believe that when we come into ourselves and radiate love, then it's amazing how it shows up for us. But when we're in a place of healing and journey, sometimes things aren't always what we envision. And it's just like anytime we get involved in a group, you know, it's so wonderful at first. And then sometimes as we get closer and closer, we start to see some of the things that are not working and the flaws. And, you know, and that's not what it's about. It's about our healing journey to be able to see how can I be in this situation and be the very best version of myself in that way. But anyway, Susie, thanks so much for reaching out to Leonore individually. Anyway, we are at our time, and I don't know if anybody else, I think Bridget had something that she might have wanted to share. And I think Dr. Susan, was there somebody else that wanted to share really quickly? Anyway, Robin, if you'll prepare the breakout rooms, that would be great. I did want to share a song by MC Yogi, but we'll need to go offline to do that because we don't have the copyright. So I'd just like to share it with the people in the Zoom room. And oh, I'm not sure I'm on that song. Anyway, if you will unmute and say, I love you and I'm with you, and we'll go ahead and stop the recordings and then we'll do the music and then go.
I love you and I'm with you.
Love you and I'm with
I
you.
love you and I'm with you.
Love you and I'm
I
with
love
you.
you and I'm with you. I love you and I'm with you.
I love you and I am with you.
I love you and I'm with you.
I love you.
The background loves behind me for some reason.
I love you
and I am with
I'm
you.
you.
I love you and I'm with
I
you.
love
Love you and I'm with you.
I love you and I am with
I
you.
love you.